Hi and welcome. This is Rebecca Sutton with the Resilient Women Club. You can find me on beccasutton.com. I'm here today with Kathy Sanderson, a spiritual therapist. Welcome, Kathy.
Hi, Rebecca. Thank you for having me on.
I'm so excited to have you on. I just can't wait to hear your story. You're our first spiritual therapist.
Yay.
So tell me a little bit more about yourself.
So I was, if you'd have told me even 5 years ago, I would be doing what I'm doing today, I'd have looked at you like you were crazy. I just sort of started to realize that I could feel energy, and I'd been doing some communicating for a while, but never ever that I could do the healing that I do. But 4 years ago, I started to have quite a lot of miscarriages. I'd already got 3 children.
Wow.
And I had my first recurrent miscarriage on my son's first birthday.
Wow.
So, and then we got pregnant straight away. So, I hear everyone about rainbow babies, and they're going, yes, this would be the one, and then you lose that one. I think this one actually made it to 8 weeks. So we'd been to 2 scans and seen the baby and got all excited, and then we lost that baby. It seems to be recurrent theme park visits that I remember bleeding and losing the baby and having to rush home. So I'd already started, had some massages, and the lady used Reiki, and I'd be telling her I could see these colours. And she said to me, yes, that's related to this chakra. And I was thinking, I said to my husband, well, our son's getting a little bit older and he'll be starting school in a few years. And, what do I do? So I went to train to do Reiki. And it was on that journey that my Reiki master, who was training me, Christine Sutton, she said, well, why can't your diabetes be healed? Because I've been diabetic since I was 20, since I was 12. And I'm like, because everybody says it didn't. The first thing the doctor said to me was, you've got this forever. So I'm like, yeah, but why can't it be healed? Because everything else can be healed. You hear all the time of everything else being healed. So it set me on this journey. And I discovered about light workers and all of this type of stuff. And on one of these Facebook groups, somebody said they were giving away a free healing. By that time, I'd had 3 miscarriages in a row. I'd already had, my daughter was a twin who didn't survive. Then we'd had a missed miscarriage. That's the first time I ever knew that you could actually turn up and have a scan and there'd be no baby, and you think that you're 10 to 12 weeks pregnant. And then we had an ectopic pregnancy, which meant that we actually had to choose to get rid of this baby that was fighting to live but would kill me. So that was a bit of
wow,
who dies, me or the baby type thing. This desperately wanted child that he had to kill, basically. So the 3 miscarriages I'm talking about are the recurrent ones straight after my son. So I put that, and I'm also a type 1 diabetic, so 3 miscarriages, type 1 diabetic. I'm so fed up. So I started working with him, and he told me that I was a healer. I'm like, no, I'm not. Shut up. But no, he did, and that set me on this journey. So I learned theta healing. I did my Reiki 1 and 2. I did theta healing. I did soul realignment. I am a light language therapist. And then I went and learned forensic healing. And you may not know much about it. It's quite big in Australia. And it was the healing that this healer did on me in the very beginning. And through that, I was just able to see how what I experienced in my childhood was actually still creating these things that were still blocking me today. So I had, in that space of 4 years, 12 miscarriages. I lost my dad nearly 4 years ago. Yeah, over 4 years ago. My brother's had cancer 3 times in the space of 4 years. I lost my darling doggy who I'd had from 6 weeks old, and she was 12 and a half. And I lost my cat who was 9 in all of that short period. But I've still set up my own healing business.
Wow, that's
Glutton for
great.
punishment, you know, because I saw the difference it made. And if I hadn't have had this, and if I hadn't have had that healing, I think that I wouldn't have got up the very first time I lost a baby.
Mm-hmm.
Because, you know, that would have been 4 losses. And some people fall apart after 1. So to keep going still after 15, I feel blessed I found what I did, and I feel very blessed that I've got my husband and my family.
Yes.
So it made me delve into my childhood, and that was a real guilt trip, because I didn't have a bad childhood.
Mm-hmm.
My mum would always tell me she loved me. I might not feel it, but she always told me she loved me. And she would make sure that we had everything, and we'd go to the clubs after the school, and we'd go on school holidays. Now, they were expensive, but she'd make sure we went on them, and that we had everything we needed. But I never felt it. And that's another guilt trip, because how ungrateful are you?
Right. I understand.
How mean are you? How evil are you? How selfish are you? All of those things. So you grow up with that, don't you? And you sort of like mold yourself to that, and you develop a mask so that what people are saying about you doesn't hurt you.
Mm,
And it's the healing has been able to unpick all of that and really find me again.
that's wonderful. So, what have you found the differences between the old you and the new you?
Wow. The old you used to believe she was evil, and that she wasn't good enough. No, and she wasn't important enough. She wasn't worth listening to. Because my mum was very depressed. She lost her mum when she was 4.
Wow.
She didn't really have support around her. So we had that, but we also had the fact that my mum's mum was very narcissistic, and so was her nan. So she only knew what she'd grown up with. So she was desperately trying to show me that she loved me, and she was trying to create that home that she never had. But she still had those limiting beliefs from her childhood, and that's why it was so messed up. So I do know now that my mum loved me, and she chooses to show it in the way that she chooses it, but she does love me. And that's a really nice feeling to know.
Mm-hmm.
But I also know that I am good enough, that I am worth being heard. And to have the belief that you're not worth being heard when you're opening and, you know, you're starting a business is a hard one, because who's going to hear you if you don't believe that you're worth being heard?
Right.
It's
There is sort of an attraction energy there that happens.
That's it. And you build yourself up, and then, you know, something will happen and it will knock all your confidence, and all your clients will go, and you have to keep pushing forward. But, you know, I give talks now, I give workshops, I run programs, and I love it. I even love doing Facebook Lives. I can talk forever, as you may know. But it's no longer fake. It's no longer forcing it.
Right.
No longer being done to prove a point.
That's good. That's really good. So tell me how all this has made you a resilient woman.
It's, you know, if you can get through that, basically, you can get through anything. You know, I've had abusive relationships. Because if you don't believe that you're worth something, you just accept what you're given, and then you know you can't leave it, because, well, who's going to have you? And I'm grateful that my mom's been there so that I could leave. It didn't get rid of those feelings. So, and something happened, and everything just started to fall into place. And then I had a nervous breakdown. I had a breakdown when I was 30, and I was with a wonderful company who supported me, and I was able to get counselling, and I carried on that counselling. And through that, I met my husband, and I would never have kept my husband. I would have let him slip through my fingers because of my behaviour. So I'm forever grateful for that breakdown, because it meant that I was in the right place to meet my husband, and we've developed together.
Wow, that's
Up
great.
until the age of 30, I didn't want, you do want to get married, you do want to have these good relationships, but because of your experiences growing up and seeing other people's relationships and marriages, no, I didn't. I didn't want to give away any of my control. I worked hard. I had my own career. I had my own house. I bought my own brand new car. I went on my holidays, and I worked full time, and I worked evenings, and I worked weekends, and I still partied, but it was my life.
Right.
And I wasn't giving it to anyone. And then I met David.
That was my father's name.
Oh, wow.
That's a good name.
Yes, good name.
Great. So tell me a little bit about the tools you use to overcome your adversity.
So the main thing is learning to love yourself, learning to accept yourself. So, you know, there's no pictures of me really as a teenager or in my 20s. I hated pictures, and that's because my mum hated pictures and my nan hated pictures. But I look at it now, and I've got nothing to show my children, but I hated being taken in a photo. I love photos now. It's great. I can look in the mirror and I can smile back at myself. Couldn't do that before. You know, you'd be there criticising, oh, bit fat there, you know, look at that wobble, all of that. But I can look now and I appreciate myself. And if I'm not happy with my size, I do something about it. I don't blame myself and my body. I've got a nice relationship with my body. And
That's
then
good.
when you learn to love yourself, you accept yourself. So you accept. One of the worst things is to do is like calling yourself stupid. You know, oh, I can't believe you've done that. So stupid. And now I can look and I say, yeah, that happened because you're just not present. You're not where you need to be. You're thinking about something else, to slow down. But no stupid, not stupid. Why am I stupid? I made a mistake. And not beating yourself up. So being able to love yourself is a main one. And then also being able to go back and address the beliefs that were created in my childhood. And they're the big ones. And being able to reconnect with little Kathy and give her what she needed at that time, so that she feels supported. Because if she feels supported, I feel supported. If she feels loved and wanted, I feel loved and wanted.
That's interesting. So connecting with your inner child.
Yeah, that's a big
Does
part of
does
what I
that
do.
child ever grow up, or do you always have like an inner child?
You always have an inner child. It's just building that relationship so that that child age 7 is no longer controlling your adult life.
Right.
You might know people who, when they don't get their own way and like they're 40, they throw their bottom lip out and they sulk.
Right.
You know, that's someone needing to have some inner child work and address that. And then when they feel that they've got their needs, they won't need to do that, because they'll be able to accept that some people have other opinions to them. And it doesn't mean that they're not loved or wanted. It just means that someone wants to do something else.
Right. That's great. Well, I'm really interested now. Tell me about some of your testimonials or your work with your clients. What do you do?
So I work with women who have had negative childhood experiences or trauma. So my greatest testimonial today, I've started work with a lady in Indiana, and her name's Tonya. And when I started working with her in October, she'd been seeing therapists all her life and doctors, because she had severe scoliosis of her spine. She has anxiety, depression, agoraphobia, and fibromyalgia. So she was on mountains of tablets. She didn't want to get up in the morning, but she saw my advert on Facebook and signed up to do a inner child online workshop. And then we started working together. And she has just literally, she hadn't worked since 2000. She'd been registered disabled since 2013, hadn't worked since 2012, and she was a nurse. So what are we now, 2020, so 8 years. And she's now going to get her license back.
Wow.
She is able to leave the house. She'd only leave the house for doctor's appointments. She goes out now. She goes out shopping. She goes out on date nights with her husband. She hadn't been out on date night with her husband for years. And she went and met him from work, and he couldn't believe it. She was there and she was dressed up, and they went out and they had a really good time. And she can go out for meals, and she doesn't, and she lives on this huge farm, and she hadn't even been out and seen her horses for a year.
Wow.
So it's brought all of that joy back to her life, but she's been able to stop her pain medication. She's reduced her depression, antidepressants, and her anti-anxiety tablets to half, and she's still reducing them. And like her psychiatrist, she was seeing a therapist, and he wanted to know, you know, what are you doing with this woman in England? Because you're just smashing your goals, and they just would never be hit before, and you're just back, and everything. And you know, she would have her down times, because to experience everything like that in your childhood, and she experienced a lot of abuse, then you've got a lot of work to do. But she just smashed through it, you know, 6 months, and she's back getting her license and all of that stuff.
Wow.
So yeah, she was remarkable. She was determined to do it. It's as much me as it is as much the person I'm working with. How much do you actually want to change your life? You've got to look at, if we've got something in our life, it's serving us. I've still got to get to the bottom of my diabetes. I'm
Right.
working my way through it. You know, it enabled me to be seen. It enabled me to be important. It enabled me to be treated specially. It also gave me a reason to sit down, because my dad wasn't very keen on people sitting down. They could be described as lazy. So high blood sugars or low blood sugars, you know, I had that thing, but it's still serving me somewhere. So I've got to find it. So you have to pick through, what is it keeping you safe from? Well, your agoraphobia is keeping you safe from going outside because it's scary. And you might meet people who are still going to be mean to you. And you just think, well, what's the point? So agoraphobia comes on to keep you safe. Depression comes on because you can't be that person who you wanted to be. So you split yourself, but you don't like that person you've become, because you only became that person so that you were liked. But that person isn't you.
Mm-hmm.
So who are you? You can't be that person, because no one will like that person or keep that person safe or listen to that person. But this person that you're trying to be, it's like that elastic band, isn't it? It's always pinging back. But if this
Right.
person you've been told for so long, the person you were meant to be wasn't good enough, then who are you supposed to be?
Wow, that's very, it sounds like very exciting work to see that kind of change in a person.
Oh
Very
yeah.
rewarding. Well, that's wonderful. I just thank you so much for being vulnerable and sharing what you went through so that people can relate and understand exactly why you do what you do. And I'm proud to say that I've interviewed you. And where can we find you online?
So excitingly, I'm about to start my next free 5-day challenge, which enables people to see that it is possible to break free from the pain of their childhood, their limiting beliefs. So it's called Break Free from Your Limiting Childhood Beliefs. And that starts on the 11th of May and runs through till the 15th of May. You can find me at healingfromwithin.co.uk. If you want to register for the challenge or check it out, you just add /challenge. Made it nice and simple. If
Perfect.
while I'm speaking to you, you're thinking, well, actually, yeah, I want to start loving myself. It's healingfromwithin.co.uk/guide, and I've produced a 5-step free again guide for you to learn to love yourself, because that really is the start of the healing process.
Right. Great. Well, thanks for all the free stuff and for offering them to the audience. And again, this is Kathy Sanderson, a spiritual therapist. And we thank you for listening and signing off. This is Rebecca Sutton with Resilient Women Club. You can find me on beccasutton.com. Bye.
Thank you.